There is no world where the Democrats are actively demanding a fighter. There is no world where Gavin Newsome should take up that mantle, okay? Where's AOC? AOC, step up. Step up. Start batting. Start swinging. Gavin Newsome is getting a lot of play right now because he's doing this. We are going to move on to talk about Texas Democrats and the redistricting plans that are set in motion. Okay? Texas Democrats have obviously escaped the state, but then they came back. I don't know why. I guess like Texas has this gravitational pull. Maybe they wanted good barbecue again or something. Who knows? But they couldn't stay out of the state for a long enough time to avoid to avoid this redistricting. Eventually, you got to legislate. So they're back. And of course, the Texas Republicans are actively trying to carve out maps where they can get like 5 easy W's for Donald Trump, 5 new red districts for Donald Trump. That's how it is. Cover the AI collapse that's on the horizon. I will as well. The AI bubble is popping too. We'll definitely do that. Texas Republicans have locked Democratic Representative Nicole Collier inside the State House chamber and refused to allow her to leave. They are requiring Democrats to sign permission slips and have a police escort in order to leave the chamber, and she refuses to sign it. It's pretty crazy. It's a pretty crazy situation overall, and hopefully we'll get some additional redistricting in blue states out of this, where they just like carve out maps in the least. I mean, blue states have a lot of blue states have independent redistricting commissions. The reasons why those independent redistricting commissions were even created was quite literally to rebalance the goddamn districting, because Republicans had actively gerrymandered these states, and those actual initial independent commissions were helpful to the Democrats because it basically rebalanced it. Having said that, however, the independent commissions are now basically a hurdle against the Democrats. Is a hurdle against the Democrats because red states don't have it for the most part, and it's very clear that they are actively doing this. Red states don't have it. They're actively going to redistrict. They're going to try to secure as many House seats as possible. So we've got to fight fire with fire. That's what I say. Did you hear about the 4K Marines headed to Venezuela? When you say 4K Marines, it sounds like Warhammer. Yes, I did hear about it. I feel like the fact that we're encouraging gerrymandering now means we're actually over. I mean, yes, but it's a healthy attitude shift, in my opinion, from the Democrats, who are at least actively trying to fight back. Okay? Because the notion that we can't disrupt the delicate balance that holds these institutions, we can't just like seemingly take a stand that is actively partisan, is ridiculous. Republicans have never in a million years, Republicans have never actually had this concern. So if you're fighting against the enemy that doesn't play by the rules, and you keep pointing to the referees and going, I can't understand it, they're violating the rules, why can't we preserve the sanctity of the rules? At a certain point, you got to realize you're getting dunked on. Okay? You're getting dunked on. Do something, anything. Okay? So this is what it is. This is the thing. And I really hope that there aren't like significant setbacks, and that like liberals don't get duped by concern trolling that comes from Republicans on this issue. Okay? Yeah, there's no high road and low road. It's a dirt road. Thank you. It's time for the Democrats to get dirty. Please. I mean, it was time for the Democrats to get dirty 20 years ago. Okay? Democrats only get dirty when it's about, Democrats only pull out dirty tricks and suppression when it comes to undermining their left flank. Okay? Use that against the Republicans, please. Stop using that against your left flank. We're done. We're done with bringing a knife to a gunfight, okay? Democrats don't even bring the knife, by the way. I'm demanding that they bring the knife, or better yet, a gun to the gunfight. Meanwhile, Democrats are bringing an apology letter to the gunfight. It's over. If in order to save this nation from the grips of crippling fascist authoritarianism, you have to start playing dirty. You have to fight back. It's ridiculous. And obviously, the other side of the story is that Governor Gavin Newsome, who wants to become president, is using this to his advantage and trying to win favor nationally to become like a strong presence that actively trolls the Trump administration and become a strong presence that will, do these sorts of things in this massive state, in my state, in California. I do hate Gavin Newsome, make no mistake. I mean, there's some good things that he's done. There's some initiatives that he's actually eaten a lot of expended a lot of social capital on, but there are so many other glaringly obvious problems that he is a clear-cut hurdle against solutions on. Homelessness is one of the major issues here, obviously. Another one is like Medicare for all in the state of California. So, he is taking advantage of this, but he is doing something that's good. And it's most likely working. Look, Governor Gavin Newsome's California redistricting proposal has a 22-point polling advantage, according to internal memo from Newsome's pollsters obtained by Axios. Holy Toledo! Harry Anton has some choice words for this. Newsome's social media strategy / opposition to Trump is working. He's gained millions of social media followers. Google searches for him are up like a rocket. He's now the front runner for the 2028 Dem nomination per the prediction markets. It's because Democrats want a fighter. Where is AOC? What are we doing? There is no world where the Democrats are actively demanding a fighter. There is no world where Gavin Newsome should take up that mantle, okay? Where's AOC? AOC, step up. Step up, step up, step up. Start batting. Start swinging. No, not podcasting, man. I don't know. That shit sucks. That's lame as hell. Gavin Newsome podcasting and like glazing Charlie Kirk on his podcast is idiotic. It's stupid. That is bad instincts. Gavin Newsome, however, getting a lot of play now not because of his like stupid, shitty AI memes or whatever Gavin Newsome is getting a lot of play right now because he's doing this.
Yeah, I think it absolutely has been working in terms of generating attention, which is what he's trying to do, right? I mean, take a look here. Let's take a look right at the @GovPress office followers on X. That's, of course, where you get those sort of the account where Newsom posts those Trump-style mocking types of tweets. Get this. That account, get this, up 450% in terms of the number of followers since mid-June. And it's not just on Twitter, X, where Newsom is.
See, Twitter is real life. I was right. No, this is stupid. His Twitter trolling and getting a lot of Twitter followers is utterly irrelevant, okay? It's 75% of the goddamn platform is bot activity anyway. It doesn't matter. That part does not matter. I'm telling you right now, he's gaining national prominence in a favorable way because of the redistricting fight, because he's like constantly saying, Dirty Donald, I'm coming for you, like he's just like attacking Donald Trump. Okay? You're delusional if you think AOC is going to do anything. It's so demoralizing that so many people on the left are clinging on to her as some sort of savior or a realistic contender on a national level. AOC could easily become a realistic contender on a national level if she was actively fighting, okay? If she was more prominent, if she was putting herself on the front lines, if she was actually issue specific, okay? Like, Gavin Newsom is the governor of California, and as the governor, he's in a very powerful position. And in that very powerful position, he's using every opportunity he can to present himself as like the number one guy to fight Donald Trump because he recognizes, he's a shark. He recognizes this is what people are demanding. People are begging for it. People are actively, they're desperate for it, okay? And we have two options. The Democratic Party currently is unimaginably weak. In that process, there will be a new leadership built within the Democratic Party's establishment structure. There's blood in the water. If it goes in the Gavin Newsom direction, that is really bad. Okay? And the reason why I say that's really bad is because Gavin Newsome is not a fighter on issues that matter. This is an issue that matters too, but I'm saying like he's using this as a way to make himself seem as though he's like the active fighter that will destroy the Trump regime or whatever. Okay? We need actual progressives, not someone like Gavin Newsome, who unironically has presented himself as a hurdle against progressive legislation in the state that the California voters consistently vote on through ballot measures that California state legislatures actively try to pass, and then Gavin Newsome vetoes. He is not a good national politician. He's not a good politician. I mean, he's a devastatingly good and charismatic politician in California, but that doesn't mean he's a good, he's going to do good policies. Okay? California is what? The 5th largest economy on the planet. What are we doing? What are we doing? We have tremendous wealth here. Why the do we have so many developing nation style problems in this goddamn state? Look at the roads. Look at the infrastructure. Look at the homelessness crisis. Look at the housing market. It's the 4th largest economy on the planet. Like, it is a larger economy. California is a larger economy than Germany. Okay? What are we doing? What are we doing? We have all of the money here. Okay? Yeah, Newsome does progressive press conferences Monday through Thursday and then vetoes progressive bills on Fridays at 5, so few people notice. Exactly.
Gaining, even on TikTok and Instagram, his followers are up over 1 million since January alone. My goodness gracious. And more than that, Laura, more than that, what about Google? What about those Google searches for him? Get this, daily Google searches for Gavin Newsome up like a rocket. What are we talking about? Since June 1, up 1,300%. Compared to August 1st, look at that, up 500%. So the bottom line is, in politics, especially if you're thinking of entering in 2028, it's all about generating attention. And so far, Gavin Newsome has done a good job at generating attention.
The Democrats want it.
Do Democrats want it? Okay, do Democrats want it?
Yeah. 2017, try to stop the GOP, 23%. 2025, 57%. 2017, work with the GOP for the Dems was 74%. Stop the GOP was at, or work with the GOP is at 42%. Let me explain something to you, okay? That number is so goddamn high still. That's a real holy Toledo moment. The idea that the Democrats still at 42% that say, hey, you know those guys that call us pedophilic interdimensional vampires? We should work with them to find a reasonable middle ground on how many Guatemalans we can execute in a concentration camp. That is so stupid. The only reason why Democrats still have this attitude is because of the years and years and years of propaganda that came from every Dem adjacent outlet that has broken the brains of all of these Democrats that look at these polls, that respond to these goddamn polls that go, yeah, I think, I like concessions. I like bipartisanship. No more bipartisan compromise unless it's the Republicans doing it. Okay? We're done. We're done with that. Stop with this bullshit. I cannot believe there's still 42% of the goddamn country within the Democratic base of support that still say, we got to work with the GOP. What do you mean? They're evil monsters. I need people to start hating the Republicans more right now. Two things that I demand from the Democrats. Start hating the Republicans more right now. Start hating Israel more right now. Okay? No more of this shit. God damn, what will it take, dude? Do you need to go directly into a concentration camp at gunpoint by some fat Hitlerite who wanted to get $50,000 as a starting bonus until you go, oh, I guess now we can hate the Republicans. I don't understand. Stop. Have you met a Republican? Have you met, like, not even a Republican, like, have you met a Trump supporter? Have you talked to a Trump supporter? Bro, you sound like you want this to happen. What do you mean? What do you mean? Have you spoken to a fully fleshed out MAGA Trump loyalist? 99% of things that they believe and all of the legislative agenda items that they advocate for are born out of hysteria. It is the most deranged shit. Literally, you could solve so many issues if you would just make these read a book, any book, dude. Okay, a coloring book, a child's coloring book, please. It's crazy. We're arguing on fundamentals. We're arguing on basics. They ran on a campaign where they were just saying like black migrants are eating cats and dogs, man. That's what they said. Like, you can't look to an audience of people that believe that shit and be like, we got to do bipartisan compromise. What do you mean? How do you do bipartisan compromise with a guy who is a carnival barker? How do you do bipartisan compromise with a guy who sounds like one of the black Hebrew Israelites screaming at people at a subway station? You can't do that. What do you mean? Oh, we got to take him seriously. We got to hear him out. We got to find a middle ground, you know? Brain dead chatters who think wish casting is real honestly can't imagine living in reality. Pretending things are good makes them worse, not better, chat. Yeah, there's like the Republicans are actively going, we need the orphan crushing machine. And Democrats are like, maybe we crush half the orphans. No orphan crushing machine. Why are we spending money on the orphan crushing machine? What the Like, people have completely lost the plot, okay? They've lost their minds. I feel like they're so servile to the way things are, where they're just like, I don't know what to do, man. These guys just believe this shit. No, there is no middle ground, man. Republicans never advocate for a middle ground. I have not heard from a single Republican politician or a single MAGA Trump loyalist cultist that, like, they need to do bipartisan compromise with the Democrats. Like, can we have, like, there's no Republican that's running around being like, can we have some transgender athletes, please? I am a reasonable Republican. I believe maybe some trans athletes should be allowed to participate in high school sports. No, none of them. There's not a single one. Nobody goes, hey, can we be reasonable, please? It doesn't happen. So why the are the Democrats constantly in a state of retreat and constantly in a state of panic? And they're the ones who are going, yeah, actually, you know what? We shouldn't let any trans people participate in high school sports or whatever the It's so dumb. Bipartisanship only will happen when the Republicans know that the actual counterbalance against growing fascism in this country is designed in a way to actively fight back against whatever the these dipshits are doing. They're never going to concede. They're never going to compromise. Stop trying to compromise. Stop trying to apologize ahead of time. Stop trying to compromise ahead of time. This has been my argument consistently, okay? It's so stupid. Democrats have basically deluded themselves into thinking that this kind of bipartisanship is actually good, and it feels like you're actually winning if you just take on your opposition's point of view. They're going to get their legislative agenda accomplished, so then you will feel less bad because you wanted it too, I guess. Do you want it? At a certain point, you have to remind yourself, like, do I want this? Do I want the military in D.C.? Do I want ICE agents kidnapping my neighbors and ripping families apart? Do I want concentration camps like Alligator Auschwitz to be propped up all around the country? Do I want any of that? Do I want 10% of it? Do I want 20% of it? My answer is no. This is why I have a lot of smoke for the Democrats too, because they delude themselves into this position where they're like, well, let's just get like 20%. No, 0%, zero Alligator Auschwitz, none of that. What the are we doing? Fight back.
I think is the trend line that I think says it all. Democrats want their leaders to what? Try to stop the GOP or work with the GOP? You go back to 2017, you see here, work with the GOP took the cake at 74% compared to just 23% who said to try and stop the GOP. But now I'm going to come over to your side of the screen, Laura. Look at 2025. I'm coming as close as I can. 57% say they want the Democratic leaders to try and stop the GOP compared to just 42% who say they want to work with the GOP. That is a major shift. What are we talking about here? Some quick math up here is 34% rise in terms of the percentage of Democrats who want their leaders to try and stop the GOP. So no wonder.
Yeah, there's only one reason why Newsome is so popular right now, because he was unpopular when he started his podcast shit. Okay? And his popularity was actually getting worse when he started his podcast shit. People were mad at him for hugging and kissing Charlie Kirk and like Steve Bannon. The reason why he's popular now is because he's the only prominent Democrat politician who's showing a sliver of fight against Trump. Has nothing to do with policy. If AOC herself gets arrested at a pro-Palestine rally, she will literally win in 2028 and 2032, except her political instincts suck and she's not willing to do what needs to be done to get the job done. Yeah. And it's not even just like a pro-Palestine rally. She can do that. That's an immediate boost. Okay? But she could do that for ICE kidnappings. She could do that for any number of different things. Okay? I think our progressive Democrats should be looking to Donald Trump and Marjorie Taylor Greene and their tactics, okay? Their tactics of not being afraid to draw controversy from time to time with bold messaging bills. I'm not saying they should be talking about like Jewish space lasers, okay? But they should be looking to what they do to create anger and use the momentum that already exists, use the anger and resentment that people already feel in their hearts to their advantage, to point the finger of blame at the actual outlets that are causing this harm. Corporations, billionaires, be more uncompromising, be unafraid to lead. This is the reason why Zoran was successful. Okay?
Gavin Newsome, he's looking at this polling. He's saying, I can generate attention. This is where the Democratic base is. And right now, he seems to be following the Democratic base.
Why? For 2028?
For 2028. That is exactly why. And I think the question is it working? Is it working? Well, let's take a look at the betting markets. I think this gives away so much of it. Okay, the chance of being the 2020.
Dude, the situation is so dire too. Like the fact that we rely on the betting markets to do political analysis, like serious political commentary is happening at the point of betting markets. Like that is so devastating to me. I don't know. I've been ringing the alarm bells on this shit for a minute now. And it's just, I was talking with someone in the industry about this recently, where it's like, there's a couple forces that are so unimaginably wealthy that you just cannot overcome. And they have forcibly, by way of money, been able to infiltrate normal society, polite society. One of those forces is like the Gulf states, Saudi Arabia and UAE immediately come to mind. Their charm offensive is so successful because they just dump entire truckloads of money in the direction of anyone that will normalize and anyone that will like go to Saudi Arabia or the UAE. So it's like impossible to go against that at this point. Sports washing is far, far too powerful a force to deal with. And the other side of the story is gambling websites, specifically cryptocurrency backed gambling websites, all the way from Stake to Poly Market and all these other like institutions. They are holding on to any kind of influence they can by way of money. They just like dump boatloads of money in the direction of people, and most people eventually give in. They go, all right, like I'll take it. Yeah. Yeah. It's not that everyone is transgender and everything's computer. It's actually everyone is gambling. Everything's Saudi Arabia.
Democratic nominee, according to the prediction markets. Look at where we were on June 1st. We basically had a clown car for first. Newsome, AOC, Buttigieg, 11%, 10%, 8%. But look at where we are now. Look at this. Look who's jumped up all the way up to 24% chance, about a 1 in 4 chance of getting the nomination. Gavin Newsome. AOC staying pretty steady at 13%. And then, of course, we have Pete Buttigieg, who has stayed absolutely steady at 8%. So at least at this particular point, the prediction markets are saying, yes, yes.
It's too bad Chris Murphy isn't more charismatic and ambitious. He is ambitious. He's not charismatic. His politics are centrist enough to speak to the masses. No, let go of this idea that you have to be a centrist to speak to the masses. That's bullshit. Make a convincing argument, please. The notion, every Democrat has this in their heart, dude. I feel like this is a major hurdle, okay, for the average Democrat voter. The average liberal still has this weird, distorted version of reality. The notion that you have to be a quote-unquote centrist to actually win the largest number of votes. That is bullshit. Look at Donald Trump. Look at Donald Trump. Was he a centrist? No. He won twice. There is no world where you have to be a centrist to win. You can be a radical as long as you communicate that your ideas are not really all that radical at all. It's actually going to help people. That's it. That's it. Stop. That is a lie that liberal media has told you for years and years and years. Okay? Stop believing this shit. You don't believe mainstream news resources when it comes to talking about Israel. You understand that they are behaving in an indecent manner for an alternative reason, okay? For a cynical reason. So why the do you still believe it when they have told you for decades that like centrism is the way, third way neoliberalism is the way, we have to hug and kiss the Republicans and that's the best way to do it? When Kamala Harris got destroyed by Donald Trump, who was very much not a centrist at all, who said the institutions, the establishment. Even though he was president, he was still able to present himself as like a figurehead that was outside of the boundaries of American politics. And people responded to him again in a positive manner. They voted for him again. Liberals have MSNBC pundit brain because they think it makes them seem smart. It doesn't. I think it makes them seem very dumb. It makes me incredibly frustrated when I hear regular ass like voters present this as a viable political movement too. Like the notion that being nominally better, marginally better than the Republican Party is actually the best method of winning elections, when in fact it's been a demonstrable failure. Okay. And not only has it been a demonstrable failure, but like you don't sound smart at all. You just sound like a loser. There are fantastic examples of this being false. Okay? There are people who have been able to successfully disprove this narrative. Zohran Mamdani is one that I can point to, luckily, and now hopefully there will be even more. Use the momentum of instability within the Democratic Party to run better candidates. Organize in red states too.
This strategy is paying off. Of course, the key question is, will this actually work when you're trying to actually, votes are being cast and counted? And more than that, will it work for a general electorate? Well, it's early days yet. We'll have to wait and see. But so far, Gavin Newsome has done a pretty gosh darn.
Like, this is something that I talked about within corporate culture too. When a corporation is like legitimately invested in a social mission, like Ben and Jerry's, you can tell, okay? There's a benefit to it. It helps with the marketing as well. But you can tell when a company is like legitimately invested in the values that they're advocating for. Whereas on the other side, you can tell when a company is just simply going along with the meta and leaning into certain social messages because they feel like it'll be beneficial for marketing purposes in a disingenuous manner. Target is a great example of this. Politicians are no different, okay? If a politician is at the mercy of what they perceive is people moving in the direction of like right-wing sentiment and right-wing culture wars, and they just go along with it, they are going to look like clowns. Kamala Harris showed what that looks like when she took on so many of the Trump administration's positions from 2020 in her 2024 race against Donald Trump. She lost. People need to be earnest and remember that voters are not that stupid. Stop treating voters like they can't understand anything, okay? Just run a campaign that is issue focused, that actually presents your position, your worldview, regardless of whatever the attacks are, and just stand 10 toes down on it, okay? You need to stop being afraid to lead. This is a major issue. People can see the disingenuous ways in which your advocacy is simply for immediate electoral gain. They can recognize that. You look indecent. You look like a clown when you're so flimsy and wishy-washy on your positions. Republicans on the other side, no matter how radical or how insane their positions might be, are unironically saying, no, this is what I believe. And slowly but surely, they are able to make other people believe their worldview. Okay? They look like they're true believers. That's it. It might be insane, and it certainly is, actually. It's not even it might be insane. It certainly is insane. The notion that, like, you know, transgender athletes is like the number one problem facing American society. That's a psychotic position, right? Like, that's psychotic. But they are able to earnestly communicate their psychotic ways in which they operate. They're like, no, this is what I believe. I'm a crazy person. I'm crazy. I think all immigrants are rapists. I'm crazy. And slowly but surely, with no opposition whatsoever from the other side, from the Democrats, people become more crazy. I hate the pundit speak from the left. It removes the principles, objectives of politicians who are supposed to work for it. This isn't a board game. I mean, I'm not even doing pundit speak under normal circumstances. This is just like, that's why I always say there is a moral argument you can make, but then there's also a amoral, calculated, cynical argument you can make for the politicians who don't listen. That's why I always say, like, I'm putting on my DNC advisor hat on. Okay? I've done this. I've done this with Israel. I did this throughout the entire election campaign, like throughout the entire general election. I said, there is an argument that I can present to any Democrat that will hear that actually boosts their favorability, okay? That will help them win the election. Anyway, here's a great example of a guy who is kind of doing that, okay? Graham Plattner for Senate. He's a combat veteran, Marines and Army, okay? Friend of the working Mainer, foe of the oligarchy, husband, candidate for U.S. Senate. This guy is running for U.S. Senate, anti-Zionist, very progressive, has all of the progressive bona fides, okay? Oh, shit. Gray bars again. I'm going to look a little bit deeper into his campaign. I haven't, like, fully analyzed it, but and I'm going to link up with him and do some with him as well. But from what I understand, the more Republican part of Maine is very working class, maybe trying to appeal to those people and not just folks with gelled up hair as a winner.
We live in a society in which we've been told a story that power is not for us. Power is not for the people. There is a different class, a different type of person whose job it is to wield power, to be a CEO, to be a politician. This is not true. This is false. Power exists for those who are willing to.
I've been hurt before, okay? I advocated for one ogre, and I need to really see what his background looks like, okay? But he's already being presented as Maine's own Zoran, all right? Here's Edinger Mentum who said that. Here, let's just look at his campaign kickoff video, okay?
What I love most about Maine are the people. I have never met people who are more hard scrabble, even in a place that requires you to work like 2 or 3 different jobs. We have watched this state become essentially unlivable for working class people, and it makes me deeply angry. My name is Graham Plattner, and I'm running for U.S. Senate in Maine to defeat Susan Collins. A decade of military service going overseas, farming oysters to feed my community, diving to lend a hand to other fishermen, trying to start a family. But everywhere I've gone, it seems like the fabric of what holds us together is being ripped apart by billionaires and corrupt politicians.
Yeah, progressive mind in a MAGA body. Progressive mind in an Aryan Brotherhood body. Look, I don't give a what someone's background is. You guys know this. I am agnostic to the optics. I do not care. You can be a 33-year-old brown Muslim dude who is a socialist. You can be the type of dude that looks like he's a tier 1 operator going on the Sean Ryan podcast to talk about how, you know, he was door kicking in Fallujah. All right. As long as what's coming out of your mouth and the values that you believe align with mine, I'm there for you. Okay. It don't matter. America's an incredibly diverse country. That's it.
Profiting off of destroying our environment, driving our families into poverty, and crushing the middle class. I did 4 infantry tours in the Marine Corps and the Army. I'm not a...
I'll be honest, I don't really like how much you post that as well, but I guess that's for election stuff. You know? It's just... Because, like, you know me. I hate the Democrats, like... that constantly go, this is the Amy McGrath method, you know? Democrats love a veteran, okay? They love a veteran, okay? Having said that, there are left flank vets out there, and this guy seems to be one of them, okay? There are also a lot of neoliberal Air Force guys and gals who are like, A lot of neo-lib Air Force veterans who love talking about, like, I killed children. Okay, I did so many drone strikes. It was awesome. I'm a much more patriotic figure than my Republican opposition is. Okay, he doesn't even want to kill children overseas. I do. Like, when Democrats run with that shit, I'm so annoyed by it. He's not really doing that. He's not really doing that. I don't know how this will read to people in general, because he is like, he does look the part. He is very, he is very grunt force.
Afraid to name an enemy. And the enemy is the oligarchy. It's the billionaires who pay for it, the politicians who sell us out. And yeah, that means politicians like Susan Collins. I'm not fooled by this fake charade of Collins' deliberations and moderation. The difference between Susan Collins and Ted Cruz is at least Ted Cruz is honest about selling us out and not giving a damn. People know that the system is screwing them. They know it in their bones. Nobody I know around here can afford a house. Healthcare is a disaster. Hospitals are closing. We have watched all of that get ripped away from us, and everyone's just trying to keep it all together. Why can't we have universal health care like every other first world country? Why can't we take care of our veterans when they come home? Why are we funding endless wars and bombing children? Why are CEOs more powerful than unions? We fought 3 different wars since the last time we raised the minimum wage. I'm not pretending to have all the answers, but I know that I'm asking the right questions. When I tell people around here that I'm running for Senate, sometimes the initial reaction is, what the but when I tell them why I'm doing it, because I truly do believe that we can build a system that is going to represent working people, the #1 response has been, well, thank God somebody's going to do it. You're supposed to.
What are his concrete policies? This is nothing. Okay, we're going to get into it, Jessica Tarlov. Calm down, okay? How about you worry about the Fox and 5 appearance that you have today, okay? Calm down, Jessica. Calm it. We're going to get into it. He's got a website, all right? GramForSenate.com platform. He's got it. Listen, I totally understand why a lot of people see a swagged out white boy geared up, looking like a grunt force tier 1 operator, and immediately think of John Fetty Wapman, okay? I get it. We've been burned before. We've been burned before, and I understand it. You just, like I said, only time will tell. But as far as his platform goes, like, I mean, he's actively speaking out about this stuff too. Like, I mean, look, Graham Plattner to Prem Tucker on Zateo said, there's a genocide that is occurring in Gaza, and at some point in the not so distant future, we are all going to be looking around and realizing that we failed the ultimate moral test of our time. The reason why I'm saying like I'm warm to this person is not because like I'm a bro with progressive ideals, but also because this is John Betterman. Okay. The reason why I'm warm to this guy is because of who he has surrounded himself with. Okay. His team, from what I have seen, is fairly solid. Man, I'm scared because Federer hurt me so bad. But yeah, I will be going and interviewing him and stuff, and getting making a better assessment in the future. All right.
To fight for the things you love. This is our home, and I will fight tirelessly for it, for you. It's Mainers first, in Maine always.
Yeah. Okay. Here's a notable section from his policies, by the way. Stop the mass deportation machine. Pass real immigration reform. Rhetorically shows much more in common with pre-Bernie 2016 on immigration than a lot of the modern Democratic Party. Our government is kidnapping people off the streets and imprisoning them in hellish conditions. This is unconscionable. It is long past time for serious immigration reform. Unfortunately, many multinational corporations have no interest in this. They want illegal workers with no rights who they can pay slave wages and abuse at will. I will support a path to citizenship and an end to the mass deportation machine. We need strong border security and a path to citizenship. We cannot do one without the other. I don't love we need a strong border security talk, but but again, match your expectations. Match your expectations to what you see from the rest of the Democratic Party, and this guy stands out. Okay, it's good to be it's good to be critical and make an assessment off of like everything that they're communicating, but ultimately, it's he's an ACP member. He's not. It's funny. Yeah, he's a part of the American Communist Party. I don't think so. Where I stand, Maine is becoming unaffordable for thousands of us. Why? Because we have a government by, of, and for billionaires who are building a billionaire economy that none of us can afford. I'm not just running against Susan Collins. I'm running against the billionaire class that owns her and all of Washington. Even if this is fake, okay, even if this is like fake posturing, it's good that there is this kind of messaging coming out, okay? This is what every Democrat should be saying, including Pete Buttigieg. This should be the thing that Democrats are screaming from the mountaintops, okay? That's it. That is what they should be pushing all the time. We should not settle for politicians who speak in vague generalities about policy. Here's where I stand. Most importantly, I want to hear from you as this platform grows and develops. Overview. America's entered a new Gilded Age. We have a government of, by, and for billionaires. We have direct consequence of disastrous court decisions capped by Citizens United that have allowed billionaires to buy elections. As a result, they have built a billionaire economy, one that creates explosive growth for a tiny privileged few, for a handful of billionaires and multinational corporations, and inflation, stagnation, and decline for the rest of us. In 1990, there were 66 billionaires in America. Today, there are over 900. When you look around, do you see a community that is over 10 times wealthier than 1990? And so, while my platform spans many issues, I view most of my job as a U.S. Senator to do things. 1, to ban billionaires buying elections. 2, to dismantle the billionaire economy in favor of an economy that works for the American worker, for small businesses, for the vast majority of Americans. I will be a senator for all those who can't buy senators. So here's the thing, okay? Here's the thing. In order to put together a coherent political campaign, you need to talk about what you stand for. You need to talk about who you want to defend. And more importantly, perhaps, something that is very much missing from the Democratic Party's method of communication, you need to talk about who you despise and who you oppose. Targeting billionaires who are unimaginably powerful figures, but their numbers are minuscule, okay, in comparison to the 99% of Americans, is good. You need to position yourself against villains, okay? Democrats don't do that. They want to suck up to the billionaires, and so they look like they're phony. Ban billionaires buying elections, rebuild our failing healthcare system. Our system for profit health insurance is a disaster. We pay more than any other country in the developed world. Healthcare is a basic human right, not a privilege, not a perk, a right. As a veteran, I'm fortunate to receive quality care through the VA, but Americans should not have to put on a uniform or fight in misguided foreign wars just to get decent healthcare. Every single person in this country deserves good healthcare, no matter who you are. We have rural hospitals closing because of policy choices made by Republicans like Susan Collins. Like, I'll tell you something, okay? Democrats especially, who are guided by fear of up, oftentimes don't take strong positions that they are worried will not reflect positively. Like they're worried that like they'll say something that the media will take on and just like yell about. Israel's a great example of this. Some of them are indecent charlatans, and some of them do have this misguided fear that if they speak out against Israel, that they won't actually be rewarded by the population, by the broader population, which they will, 100,000%. But they are worried that like people will come and petition their speeches and things like that. They'll get suppressed by all of the different organs that are pro-Israel that have made themselves irreplaceable, seemingly, in the eyes of the DC bubble in American politics and in the American media system. Okay? I think a guy like this could just like very easily also take a strong anti-war position, given his background, to be like, I don't think we should be doing any of these wars at all. I think it's a jobs program, and it's utterly ridiculous how much we are destroying the next generation so that they can get a leg up. These systems, these social services should be provided unconditionally to every single person living on U.S. soil, and that on top of that, the military's focus as a jobs program should be on rebuilding this country and infrastructure projects rather than rather than constantly waging war and destroying the global south. That is a position that a guy like this could take. Okay? I don't know if that's something that he genuinely believes or not, but that's something that many people would be so afraid to say out loud because they're worried that people will go, oh, you're an anti-patriotic terrorist or whatever, right? It's not a problem to say these things, especially when you got Donald Trump, who presents himself, who has the audacity to present himself as an anti-war guy. American foreign policy has been deliberately, American foreign policy by design in the media it never takes the forefront of political messaging. It's not something that people care about when it comes to elections either, okay? This is the attitude that people have in D.C. That is by design, because if American foreign policy was at the forefront, people would recognize how violent America is, and people would start asking questions about, like, why are we giving hundreds of billions of dollars to all these other countries, or even waging wars overseas? Like, why the fuck are we doing that? And we're creating a lot of animosity against us around the world. So for that reason, the media rarely ever talks about it, or have a complete bipartisan stranglehold on permanent warfare, permanent military contracts, constant money going to the military industrial complex. Okay? But that has created this very weird position where America as a nation state relies on constant extraction of natural resources from the global south to exist in the ways that it does, to offer the limited amount of comforts that it does to the labor aristocracy, while simultaneously the average American believes that they're anti-war. Okay? Because if they were aware that this entire system is designed on permanent military conflict, they probably would have, they probably go on either side of this equation. Some would say, I'm being honest, I like that we're killing children overseas as long as I can get a t-shirt for $5. And others would say, I think this is unconscionable. We should actually focus on isolationism, whatever you want to do with that, that ideology. There are plenty of Americans right now, though, that feel like they're anti-war. They're anti-war. And yet no politician sincerely communicates this message because they're too afraid. They're too afraid that they'll be called a terrorist. Okay? They should do so. They should do that. I call it now, this white guy's not a real one. I know that everybody wants to be right. And I don't even fault you for being cynical, okay? I do not fault you for being cynical. Having said that, he has a lot of decent people around him. Though he's a political newcomer, Plattner has said he's brought on board two progressive strategists who have experience successfully running against establishment-favored Democrats, Maurice Katz, a top ad maker for New York City Democratic mayoral nominee Zohran Mamdani, and Joe Calvello, a former senior aide to John Fetterman. Joe's a good dude, okay? Don't hear the John Fetterman thing and then immediately assume he's a bad guy. Joe's got chops. Former Fetterman guy, okay? That's not a red flag. Former. Joe's worked for Bernie. And he is not, out of like a lot of these advisors, okay? These are DSA guys. It's not Joe Calvello's fault that John Fetty Wapman got hit with the pro-Israel stroke gun, okay? It's not his fault, bro. What do you mean? Unless you're saying he was like sneaking in some extra hot dogs so that his cholesterol spiked and then he got hit with that stroke gun. I don't want to hear about how his involvement here was consequential in the political evolution, or rather devolution and regression of the ogre man. Israel stroke game too good. What if he shot the gun? Yeah, he hit him with the pro-Israel dart. Anyway, I'm not sure what your reach is with reaching new audiences, but have you ever considered being a consultant for a leftist campaign to help with their media image? No. And I don't care to do so. I care to do this. If people want my advice, I'm giving out free ball every goddamn day. They can tune in. And many do, ironically enough. Many people do. This is for everybody, okay? This is free. You don't have to pay me for this advice. I will literally scream this from the rooftops to anyone who will listen. I will scream it to the faces of the Democratic Party analysts and consultants. When they listen, they just don't listen. Or the ones that do listen don't have any motion. Okay? I don't think this kind of quote-unquote advice should be paywalled at all. I think it's stupid. My job is to get this message to as broad an audience as possible. My job requires charitability from the average normie that's tuning in. Okay? But it also requires people to hear it. and to believe it and to recognize it as a better method. You are the main reason I'm holding up door knocking in the PNW right now. Hell yeah. Funny enough, if you paywalled it, they may listen more. I know. Americans pay more for prescription drugs than almost any other country on earth. That makes me deeply angry. When I'm in the Senate, I'll stand up to corporate greed and fight lower drug prices by empowering. I will end the shameful practice of subsidizing drug companies. I think you should just also go along with like a tangible position like Medicare for all. You know what I mean? Support small businesses, break up the monopoly. Small businesses in Maine and beyond has entered a new period of crisis. While COVID accelerated the process of mass small business closures, this trend has been going on for decades. Solving this is no easy matter, but many solutions are straightforward. In particular, why should small businesses pay a higher tax rate than multinational corporations like Amazon? Righting this wrong will be among my top priorities in the Senate. Stop the mass deportation machine. We already read that. Defend our air, our water, our land, and our climate. Maine is a special place in our way of life, our economy, and our future depends on preserving it. Oh, he did say Medicare for all. I didn't. I mean, he is. Yeah, I will be a strong supporter of the Medicare for all system. Okay, my bad. I didn't see that. Yeah. Defend our air, our water. Decisive action on the housing crisis. Let's see. The housing crisis is existential. The American dream of owning a home is wilting as private equity firms and hedge funds buy up housing stock to enrich wealthy investors. We used to provide serious federal support for housing creation and no longer do. We need to bring back serious federal support for building housing. The VA home loan program has provided a critical lifeline to many Americans. I don't think that loans are the best possible way to fix the housing crisis. I think a federal jobs program that is designed around building more housing, that is publicly funded and is like public housing. This is something that I think a lot of people should be more comfortable advocating for. Truly, it's a terrifying prospect for many who do not see that is the alternative here. Protect Social Security before it goes bankrupt. End billionaire tax dodging. Absurd system. We must pass a billionaire minimum pass a billionaire minimum tax. Establishing a baseline tax that rate the super rich cannot go under. This policy is extremely popular, but too often we have elections between multiple candidates who refuse to support it. I like that. Uphold tribal sovereignty and self-determination. God damn. That's woke as That's cool. That's do you think pub housing, if you work for the government, local or fed, like the way military does it? I mean, the military doesn't do pub housing either, technically, unless you're on a base. And dudes literally get married to get off the base in general. I think public housing should be done in the same way that is done in places like Vienna. Right now, the housing solution for everyone, even the boldest thinkers, revolves around the public-private partnership. I say that, okay? I think that's a major, major problem. Strengthening our working waterfront, support unions to bring good jobs. The main union means higher wages. I think people should also be unashamed of calling themselves socialists as well. I don't think it has that stink that people think it has. I know maybe I'm bubbled in here to say stuff like that, but you know, I think it's not a thing that you should fear. It's not a moniker that you should be afraid of. It actually, I think, presents you as a different kind of Democrat. The good kind of Democrat, like a Democrat fighter. I think the association with the DSA and any other like left flank organizations will be seen as a positive and not a negative in the way that like liberals have deluded themselves into thinking for far too long. What I mean by this is there's a lot of enmity towards the Democrats because of their inability, because their lack of interest in fighting back against the Republicans. If more and more Zoran-style candidates are propping up left and right, okay, bro, it's Maine Lamau. You are in California, North Hollywood. Oh, you are bubbled in. This is Maine. It doesn't matter what people call themselves. What matters is what they advocate for, okay? That's it. That's it. And this guy has got good policies, okay? Turn off the liberal brain that causes you to lead by fear. Liberals need to stop being cowards, okay? And even people who call themselves like Marxist, Leninists and whatnot still have that lib-ass attitude. Don't do it. It's not worrisome. Those labels, especially at a time when the Democratic Party is unprecedentedly unpopular, when it is supposed to be the opposition party to a deeply historically unpopular president and an unpopular movement, calling yourself a different kind of Democrat is not a bad thing. Wait, what? Yeah, man, DSA with 85K, really going to make waves? The liberals are too plugged into the Dem machine to ever go third party? I'm not saying, bitch, did I say this man should run as a third party candidate? He's running as a Democrat. What are you talking about? Hello? I'm saying that presenting yourself within the existing party structure as a different kind of Democrat is a good thing. You guys hear whatever you want to hear. People are desperate for change. People want someone who is going to break down the way that the institutions have operated at the behest of billionaires and corporations and the wealthy. They want that. Dude, one of the best things that happened immediately after Zoran was Republicans quickly claiming that maybe Nancy Pelosi wasn't a socialist at all. They used to say Nancy Pelosi's a communist, Nancy Pelosi's a socialist. And then when a real socialist came in and became a national figure, they very quickly turned around and were like, well, you know, we used to just lie about Nancy Pelosi being a socialist, but it turns out that she's not really a socialist at all. Where are the reasonable Democrats? All it took was for one guy to threaten the existing duopoly in a Democratic mayoral primary to become a national politician for them to turn around and actually immediately start conceding. This should be the proof that you need. If you have any hangups over this, this should be the proof that you need that you can go in a more radical direction. You can boulder in the direction of the left. This will, by default, make those centrist Democrat-style candidates seem better overall anyway to the Republicans that are in the margins, the Republicans who are in the center right. Because they go, oh, well, I guess this guy is better than Zoran. I'm scared of Zoran. And it's even better if Zoran is able to become mayor and do a good job. We need to stop being afraid of subversive labels. Exactly. Socialism is a subversive label, and that's a good thing right now. You know what's a bad label? Being a Democrat. That is a bad label. It is deeply, deeply unpopular. Here's Joe Calvello, who himself said, the Democratic Party is deeply unpopular, but national Democrats continue to take a it ain't broke, so don't fix it approach while we are in dire straits. Shane Goldmacher, new at New York Times, Democratic Party is facing a voter registration crisis in red, blue, and battleground states alike, losing ground to the GOP everywhere. My deep dive into the numbers and what it reveals about the party's brand. The Dems are unpopular. The Dems are seen as the pro-Israel, pro-war pussy party who won't actually fight back against the Republicans. They're losing their own base. They're not bringing in new people into the fold. It's a devastating outcome. Why do you think when in normal circumstances, the other party that is not in power is supposed to automatically get a popularity boost, especially when the party in charge, the Republican Party, is deeply unpopular and their policies are violent and people are actually resentful towards their policies? Why is the Democratic Party not getting that right now? Why is the Democratic Party not actually getting that popularity boost by just being the not Republican Party? It's because they're showing their bellies. They're cowering in fear, and people are angry. They're resentful, and they can see that the Democrats, the party out of power, is not doing shit about it. Do with that information what you will. Why still advocating for the Dems? Oh my God. Use the existing party machine to your advantage. You guys are so stupid. Do I need to spell it out for you? There is currently, as it stands, no viable third-party outcome. Okay? There's just, it doesn't exist. So a person that would normally be a third-party candidate should still use the existing infrastructure. And then if they gain national prominence, maybe they'll start their own third-party initiative after they have that platform. But you can't do that right now. What the more do you want to hear from me? This is the weakest the Democrats have ever been. It's an opportunity for tremendous gains to be made to utilize the pre-existing structure, okay, and force the Democratic Party to actually be a progressive force, an actual real counterbalance against the Republican fascist movement. That's it. Look at Jeremy Corbyn. And if it doesn't work, then you can move on to a different alternative outcome. And I totally am not against it anyway. If you want, build out the Green Party to be an actual Green Party and not like some weird possibly foreign influenced group of people that only show their face every 4 years to run around and say a bunch of silly shit, and then also see increasingly limited success at a time when people are looking for alternatives. You know, I'm in a competition between Jill Stein and Kamala Harris on who spoke out less post-election. Okay, I don't know who wins that. I'm gonna be honest. It's like Twitter activity of Jill Stein, Twitter activity of Kamala Harris post-election. They're nowhere to be found. How did this happen? How did this happen? It's not even just Twitter activity, but just like in general. 30 states plus DC allow for partisan registration. Between 2020 and 2024, Democrats lost 2.1 million voters in those states, and the GOP gained 2.4 million. But those top line figures are just the start. Shane Goldmacher reports. By percentage, Democrats went from nearly an 11-point edge over GOP in 2020 to just a 6-point edge in 2024. Along the way, some states have flipped the GOP registration edge entirely. Florida, of course, but more big ones are likely coming. In Pennsylvania, the quintessential battleground, Democrats had a registration advantage of 517,000 among active voters in November 2020. As of the summer, only 53,303 voters. In North Carolina, Republicans have raised roughly 95% of the registration advantage that Democrats held in the fall of 2020 by this summer. The Dem edge is less than 17,000, down from nearly 400,000 in 2020. Some have dismissed registration as a lagging indicator in the past, but in 2024, it proved prescient. Democratic weakness was concentrated where Trump was strongest, among men and younger voters. There are few better measurements of a party's brand than who actively choose to identify and register with it. And fewer voters are choosing to become Democrats. Check out this graphic of the trend line for new registrants since 2018. Look at this graph, dude. Look at this graph. We also have some takeaways in the findings. This is perhaps the most stark one. Many voters are choosing to be political independents by not registering with either major party. But of the people who do choose between the two main parties, the Democratic share has been cratering, according to the analysts. Why? Because one party stands for something. It's evil, but at least they stand for something. The other party stands for nothing. They're still presented as evil, but they're also evil and feckless. You got to pick a lane, man. Okay? I am presenting an alternative, which is don't stand for evil and stand for good things instead. It's super simple message. Policy first, agenda first, things that will genuinely improve people's material conditions first and foremost. Become identifiable by tangible policies that actually genuinely improve people's material conditions. Become an earnest communicator of said policies, and people will reward you. This is how democracy is supposed to work in theory. I am losing my goddamn mind having to have this conversation over and over and over and over and over again every single election cycle, and then in the immediate aftermath of the election cycle, and continue to have this conversation for the past 12 years to an increasingly smaller group of people that are interested in this sort of thing within the power structure of the Democratic Party. And here we are, cratering support. It's an opportunity. It is an opportunity for a true progressive force to overtake and pull the Democrats in the right direction, whether they come along or not. Kicking and screaming, okay? Become undeniable, become unavoidable, become a force that people have to reckon with. Hey, Hassan, I found an absolute banger diss track about you that was posted to YouTube yesterday called Hassan and His Gucci Bag. We are never getting healthcare, bro. I'm going to tell you right now, it's not happening. We don't deserve it. We don't deserve it. We deserve all the bad things, and we're going to get that. Yeah, it was Gucci Marks who made it. It's got 1.3 million views. And it's like, this is supposed to be like a meme. And some of the dumbest haters have turned this into like, I think it's funny. I've covered it on stream before. I think it's great. Don't point out his hypocrisy. He'll throw a tantrum in his multi-million-dollar mansion. Oh, God. Peasants. This is peasant brain. Anyway, and yet the top house Dems still choose to walk back statements calling what Israel's doing a genocide to appear feckless to their constituents. I know. Okay. Not everybody who disagrees with you is a peasant, but these people are definitely no. I'm not even saying that. I'm saying that like the notion that a guy who's like, hey, man, the wealthy are you over, having a relative success in the same structure that he is criticizing should not cause you to immediately attack the guy who's telling you that the system is up. But peasant brain dipshits who admire billionaires unironically turn around and behave as though like I am Jeff Bezos, okay, a mover and shaker. The only force that must be taken down. It's like it's such a stupid, irrelevant thing. You know, it's just always the same gotcha here. You know what? Going forward, I'm not even going to speak on this. I'm going to let communist SpongeBob speak on this instead. Okay. Well, let me find it real quick. Hold on.
You support Mamdani? Bro literally works inside the system. Isn't that like serving capital?
Man, I'll take material wins over ideological cosplay any day. Yeah, we all stuck under capitalism right now, but some of us trying to actually ease the pain while we dismantle it, that ain't serving capital. That's knowing how to punch from inside the ring.
So what, you a reformist now?
Call it what you want. But if your revolution demands that we leave folks suffering just to stay ideologically pure, you ain't liberating nobody, you just vibing in echo chambers. Mamdani's work challenges power. He's organizing minds while you're busy measuring purity.
But ain't he part of the elite class?
Bruh, critiquing capital while navigating it is the only shot we got until we can flip the board. Let's raise class consciousness with material gains, not waiting on a perfect moment that ain't ever coming.
So fix what's broken while we build better?
Exactly. Elevating people today is how you get comrades ready for tomorrow. It ain't serving the system, it's using its cracks to break it from within.
There you go.
Follow for more.
Maybe AI is okay sometimes. Yeah. I think a lot of people don't understand that this system is so overwhelmingly powerful that I'll take whatever hand of help I can get, and you should have a similar attitude as well. Okay, don't immediately cast aside W's and try to be. Don't immediately cast aside gains, victories, and behave in this like incredibly cynical manner. Okay. Use the tools that you have to, one, build a working class focused and organized front, and use all of the tools that are at your disposal. Sometimes those tools are going to be the existing infrastructure for the Democratic Party. Okay? If only you show this in the fall of 2024. What do you mean? What do you mean? This has been my attitude. What are you talking about? My anger and resentment against Kamala Harris was correct. It was because she wasn't doing anything that she was supposed to be doing to win a election against Donald Trump and growing fascism in this country. And she lost. And there are still dumb who think she lost because of me. Fuck! Do you think I have more clout than Taylor Swift and Beyonce? Are you that stupid? Or do you think, and this is something that I repeat every election cycle, that you cannot outflank the Democrats? Yeah, we be needed to be adults and understand we can't get everything we want. Okay, I'm just banning you because while you are claiming to be an adult, your brain is a child's brain. Okay? Kamala Harris lost because she didn't do the things that she was supposed to do to win favor in a democratic structure. She literally cast aside her own voter base for some fantastical notion that there was a massive growing coalition of Liz Cheney, former Republican Democrat voters. It didn't exist. God damn. None of that shit. The party failed you again. And you still have some kind of loyalty. If you believe an ounce of the shit you spit, you use your fortune to actually help the base movement, not enrich the shit out of yourself. It sucks because you actually reach folks and gain awareness, but you are definitively a class traitor. You should be using your economic wealth you've gained from our base to help our base, not enrich yourself. You are non-ironically a class traitor. Wait, Are you saying I'm a class traitor as someone who is wealthy? Because yeah, in that sense, I guess you're correct. People always say stuff like this, but they don't just like follow up. What do you mean? What do you mean? I never understand it. It just ultimately turns into socialism when poor. That's it. Like, you use what's going on in our country for profit. Explain what you mean. Explain what you mean. I'm a political commentator, okay? This is my job. Whether there are 10 people watching or 10,000 people watching or 300,000 people watching, this is what I do. I do this when you're tuning in. I do this when you're not tuning in. I do this when the things that I'm saying that I believe in are seen as unconscionable by people, and they leave and they say I'm a terrorist and all this shit. And not only do I do it for free, okay? You can volunteer to give me $5 a month, $6 a month, or a free subscription in the form of a Twitch Prime, but I don't run ads, okay? I don't even maintain any sort of like IP control. So if you want to make money off of the shit that I'm saying and like post it on your own, people have paid for their student loans by doing so. It's all free. What the are you talking about? You're just mad that I'm successful at that point. That's it. I'm a working class average American. You do this for a living. I'm not trying to go toe to toe with you. You're a big boy and can articulate. Did you just say you have resentments, but you can't even articulate said resentments? What are you doing? So you're just angry for no reason. You don't even know why you're angry. What have you done to help the people you claim to fight for? Every single day, we got to do this, I think. Every single day, I got to be like, hey, man, I'm out in the streets. I get shot at just like you do. If you're also out in the streets, I do fundraisers. I donate myself, both privately and publicly. Okay? I go out and work with local community organizers. I go out and prop up political candidates that I think are actually good forces to genuinely change the political system from within. Do I have to repeat that? Do I have to run the highlight reel every time? God damn, dude. God damn. I resent you take money from people on this platform and pocket everything for material bullshit instead of actually backing what you talk about with the capital you're getting. What do you want me to do is the question. If this is a constructive criticism that you have, explain it, okay? Explain what it is. Explain what it is. What do you mean when you say material bullshit that you're pocketing instead of like backing your talk with the capital you're getting? Do you want me to arm a militant vanguard? Is that what your goal is? Like, is that what you think I should be doing? Is that what it is? And not only that, but my attitude and my statements have actually caused, and my stubbornness has actually caused problems within my career as well. So if I was a grifter, I always repeat this over and over again, I'd just be right wing. It's the easiest grift on the planet. It takes nothing. It requires no brain power to be a right wing grifter. Look at Asmongold. Great example of this. Okay? Why the do I do this? Why do I do this? Why do I receive death threats every day if I don't believe what I'm saying? Why do I do this? Why is my family getting doxxed every day if I don't believe what I'm saying? Why do I do this when I get detained by Customs and Border Patrol if I don't believe what I say? Ultimately, it unironically stems from just like, bro, although you maintain like within the confines, a military vanguard would be dope, but no, okay, what do you want then? What do you want? What do you want? What do you want? I can explain it to this for this average chatter. You should be donating substantially. Some might even say as the single largest donator to things like new labor unions forming in America. Yeah, that's right. I should be doing that. That would be good, right? If I was doing that. If I was doing stuff like that, that would be good, right? Of course, I'm too fearful to do such things. Like perhaps if I was like the single largest individual donor to a newly formed labor union movement like the Amazon labor union. Oh shit, what the Even if you didn't do anything outside of streaming, it should be enough. Activism takes many forms, and I bet the people criticizing you are just projecting. I know. And especially at a time when like don't say anything. They don't even, brother, people are too afraid to speak out against like the Gestapo machine kidnapping people. Okay. Most of the content that you consume from content creators unironically is nothing. Even if I wasn't doing anything else and just chirping and demanding that people organize. Okay? Also, this is hilarious. The amount of time you waste explaining yourself to jackasses and trolls is impressive. From 2020 saying the amount of time you waste explaining yourself to jackasses and trolls is impressive to becoming the jackass and troll is incredible. How did you turn into it? Bro, we know how much you put into this. Don't get riled up from the hate. I mean, it's fine. It's fine. This is just like, this is not like real criticism. It's just someone who wants to be heard. And if they have any sort of like confusion about where I stand on issues, like I'll take the time out and explain it to them. Okay? That's it. Also, thank you, John Hugs, for the 25 gifted subs and Rome TV for the 5 gifted subs. Again, voluntary donations. That's it. If you don't want to donate, if you don't want to subscribe, you don't have to. You don't have to do that at all. It's all free, baby. It's all free. That's it. He flipped when you buy your house. I know. That's what it was. It's like, this motherfucker lives in a house with his family. Him. That's all it takes for a lot of people. Also, he did not present an alternative. What happened to bro in 2022? I got doxxed. I purchased the home that I'm living in right now for myself and my family. And there were a lot of people who are sincerely leftists, who are still misguided and unironically hyper focused on the optics of the situation, not realizing that they're like literally attacking the left for the silliest shit while being a part of the left. It's just misguided anger to a incredibly accessible person. Chad, if you sub long enough, Hasan might cover your favorite local Senate candidate as well as part of his grift, I think. Yep. There is definitely like a misguided attitude of being like a poverty cultist, okay, on the left, for sure. It's marginal, and I think it's inconsequential in the grand scheme of things, but it is what it is, you know? A lot of those cries used to be way, way, way more aggressive, I think, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. It's stopped now. And these people have no answers. These people have no answers for why, like, my attitude and my statements have not changed since I had no money to where I'm at now. Don Luca TV, thank you for the 5 gifted. Chris on RSD, thank you for the 10 gifted. Non Anomaly, thank you for the 10 gifted. Whatever Waves, thank you for the 10 gifted subs. Implanty Andy, thank you for the 25 gifted subs. Your haters are exposed again? What is this? Destiny apparently claiming he wasn't aware that she was underage, but there's evidence suggesting that he may have first met her via Twitter. Hashtags were known at the time, including Destiny by Destiny himself, for being used to distribute CSAM. Oh, God. Ugh. Gross. To the chatter who hit you with, where were you in 2024? It's too bad Harris and her campaign didn't try even once to satiate or appeal to the Palestinian Americans and their allies. Harris winning would have been better for the Palestinians, but your movement consistently made problems for her campaign and contributed in small but real ways to Trump winning tragic results. The uncommitted movement wasn't a wrecker attempt to create chaos in the party. It was a serious venture by Democratic Party operatives who were trying to throw a Hail Mary to get the Dems to realize how much sympathy they had lost. The Dem party didn't care one bit. Yeah, they sent Bill Clinton to Michigan to say Judea and Samaria. They responded. Why would you change your stances when that's what makes you money? What? Dude, how many people like me exist out there? What are you talking about? Does it never confuse you at all? Do you never actually look at the environment, the media landscape, and all of the people whose content you consume, and never think once to yourself that not a single one of them actually speak out on any number of different issues, even from a liberal perspective, and the only voices that you hear from, for the most part, are incredibly reactionary right-wing voices? Does that not ever shock you at all? Do you not realize that there's a reason for that? And that is because people are terrified to speak out. This all literally stems from you are able to maintain editorial independence and be able to present your opinions to an increasingly larger audience and also gain financial success in the consequence, even if you're like a unique figure in this space. Okay? Why? Why do you think people are afraid to even speak out against Trump right now? If there's so much money to be made, why isn't Asmongold a leftist socialist grifter? Why isn't XQC a socialist grifter? If there's so much money to be made, these guys don't give a fuck about politics. Why aren't they grifting to the left? Have you not noticed that you keep coming back here for one reason? Don't get me wrong, said already a few times, I appreciate the awareness they bring. It seems like you don't, because you're saying I'm doing it cynically to make money off of it, even though for many, many years I made no money off of it at all. And even then, if this was simply content for me, why the don't I take $1 million sponsorships from like Polymarket for one day of work? Why don't I do that? Why don't I take the bag and run with it? Ask yourself these questions, and maybe you will be able to understand the answers. Because you'd be outed? Outed? No, I'm saying if I'm a grifter, if I'm a leftist grifter, and therefore don't have an ideological commitment to this, why don't I just grift to the right is my question to you, as many people do. Okay? Many people do that. There are a million different very successful grifters that present themselves as right-wing, even if they don't fully abide by or give a shit about right-wing politics at all. Why? Why do you spend so much time and so much brain power in your mind to develop this idea that like I'm something that I'm not? I'm actually sinister, and I'm presenting myself as someone that I am not actually. Yeah, you're Schrodinger's grifter. You're both a grifter and not a grifter because you'd be outed if you did grift, so you don't grift. Like, if I'm in it just to make money, doesn't that make sense? That I would just do things that would make me money rather than cause a ton of headaches? Who the would grift to the left? The left is segmented. We love fighting one another, and we eat it. We literally eat it from the right all the way to the far right. We're enemy number one for the right and the far right. We eat it from the center. We eat it from the liberals who see us as like a spoiler, okay? Because we're forcing the liberals to actually do things that everyone would want, okay? And then on top of that, anyone that has even like a marginal disagreement on the left also hates you. Why the would anybody do this if they didn't truly believe in it? Even if right now, if you wanted to grift, yeah, you'd destroy the audience you build, but you'd be welcomed by right-wing money. No, the pathway is clear. People have done this. You can just slowly but surely talk about how annoying the left is and find yourself increasingly abiding by right-wing positions, okay? And then eventually you make that leap and you say, why I left the left. Here is why. There are many such examples, okay? A lot of them are trots. Some of the most vicious right-wing neocons that have played a formative role in American politics started off as trots, started off as Marxists. People have said this about me for years. Why has it not happened? Why is it that the people who have said this about me have then made that leap to the right? If I was such a dishonest grifter, I wouldn't have every goddamn institution that is working with the Israeli state up my asshole every day of the week, making my life a living hell to the best of their ability. They failed to do so. Okay? That's it. That's it. I've never moved a single inch from my position. Ultimately, it still comes down to, I don't like that you were also able to be successful in this media environment, because this media environment is disgusting, and therefore your success alone shows not that you have been an earnest communicator in perpetuity, but instead it shows that you are a sinister demon doing this for money. If that was the case, don't you think you would see more and more people propping up left and right with a loud and proud socialist message if there is a major audience for this? It just doesn't make sense. Anyway, I'm done arguing with this shit. It's so stupid. I can't believe I did this. What a waste of time this was while we were talking about issues. Getting back to what we were talking about earlier before we moved on to this. That is my biggest that's my biggest problem, is that I just like I find myself constantly trying to I find myself constantly trying to over-explain stuff to people. And I think like when you do that, people immediately assume like, oh, you got caught. You got caught because you are indecent. Instead of like listening to what I have to say and going, you know what? I never thought of it that way. I think many people just go, he's chirping into the wind because, you know, my bad faith criticisms actually worked. And it's not bad faith criticisms at all. It's actually a reflection of reality. I got one guide, and I apologize. Chatters at DGGers in their profile that were bad faith from the get. It's okay. It's okay. I still believe that even if someone is like a part of this weird pedophilic sex cult that is a cyber stalking operation designed around the mercy of one man and his own personal ambitions and his own vendetta, that they can still leave that cult eventually if someone talks to them. I'm not going to give up on that fight. Let's continue.
Monitors to Texas now, because happening right now, state lawmakers, they return to the Capitol for a second special session ordered by Governor Greg Abbott. We expect them to vote on redrawing congressional maps. But first, the families affected by that severe Texas flooding, they will testify on the House floor. They're calling on Congress to pass bills allowing recovery efforts to move forward in the state. And today's vote comes after state Democrats fled the state for nearly 2 weeks in protest of Republican redistricting efforts. But Democrats have not stopped demonstrations since they returned. Several other lawmakers joined State Representative Nicole Collier in her protest. Collier slept on the House floor after refusing to sign a GOP-imposed permission slip that required her to leave with a police escort. She has since filed a lawsuit saying the move by Republicans is an abuse of power. Dozens of protesters, they arrived at the Capitol. You see them here to demand her release from the House chambers. But police quickly shut the building down after they got a social media threat calling for others to go to the Capitol and shoot anyone, not allowing lawmakers to leave. Police say they arrested at least 5 people after they refused to exit the building. Democrats stayed in that building with state troopers present. And a reminder for our viewers, Democrats, they hold just 12 seats in Congress to represent the state of Texas, and that puts them in the super minority. Meanwhile, 25 Republicans hold seats in Congress for Texas. But this is where the congressional map stands as of right now. To the left here, you can see the existing map with most of the blue in the middle of the state. And to the right, those small blue dots, well, they shrink even further, marking a loss for Democrats. CBS News political director Finn Gomez joins us now for more on what we can expect today. Finn, thank you for your time. It seems Democrats are out of options here to stop this redistricting bill from being passed, right?
No, that's exactly right, Mugo. I mean, the Republican-controlled Texas legislature is on track to pass these new congressional maps, potentially securing, as you mentioned, up to 5 additional Republican seats ahead of the midterm elections next year. Democratic lawmakers, as you know, ended that 2-week walkout that blocked quorum, allowing the legislature to advance the map. And while the walkout was temporarily stalled the action by Republicans because the Republicans regain control when they return. The options to delay or stop the legislation within the chamber now are extremely limited. But the battle is far from over. Once the maps are passed, legal challenges from Democrats are expected to be filed, likely arguing violations of minority voting rights and other state constitutional concerns. Lawyers and advocacy groups are preparing lawsuits and gearing up for a fight. And as you know, Democratic-led states such as California are pursuing retaliatory redistricting plans aimed at neutralizing these Republican gains. Mugo.
And Finn, just to be clear here, the fight over redistricting doesn't just end in Texas. We know California state Democrats introduced their own proposal for new maps, but this process looks very different than what's playing out in Texas. I'm assuming It's going to be more difficult. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, it is a lot more complicated. And I mean, I will say that, the battle really seems to have shifted once the expectation of these seats, of these maps to be passed in Texas, it really shifts over to California. And California Democrats are moving swiftly to get their redistricting plan on the November ballot for that special election that Newsome has pushed. This week, that means securing legislative approval and rallying allies like Planned Parenthood and other national Democratic allies who back Governor Newsome's push to add 5 Democratic-friendly new seats. Democrats are confronting an unfolding legal challenge, however, from Republicans who have challenged the move in the state Supreme Court, and all signs point to an intense, high-stakes political showdown in California in November. Ultimately, Newsome and Democrats believe they can pass this new map in November that will effectively counter those Republican gains in the Lone Star State. However, Governor Newsome does not have an easy path here, Mugo, as California Republicans are gearing up to challenge these new maps once the special election is challenged. A top Republican involved in the House Republicans' campaign strategy says even if California establishes these new districts, it could really spur other Republican-led states, some of whom are on the fence, to counter California, including Indiana, Missouri, Florida, saying they believe they will have more options and territory to potentially add more Republican-friendly seats. But in a nutshell, this could get pretty messy before these battle lines are drawn and set ahead of next year's midterms, Mugo.
Oh, yeah, it's starting to look messy already. Finn Gomez, thank you so much for your insight.
Did they have to go back? I don't understand why they did that. Is Newsome the only one who isn't a pussy when fighting Republicans? Like the others seem so weak. Yeah, that's the way it looks like right now to a lot of people, and it's not good. It's not good that he is the guy. Here's what the Texas state Democrats are doing. Gene Wu, the head of the Texas House Democrats, is forcing a vote on an amendment to the new state congressional maps that would require a release of the Epstein files before they go into effect. Because they're dumb, they're claiming that California's commitment to counter Texas means they can come back. I don't think. I don't know. I don't know what the goal is there. I don't understand it. I think they should have just stayed out of it. A DPS trooper couldn't keep up with the state rep on her morning run and threatened to arrest her. Wait, you sent me this link. You sent me the wrong link. Why can't all blue stations redraw their maps to ensure there's only 1 or 0 Republican seats? New meta. I mean, I think they should. Fight fire with fucking fire. Blow it up, dude. Blow it up. Blow it the up. Doesn't seem very democracy, does it? I mean, but they're the ones who are doing it. Democrats should have done it even before the Republicans, honestly, because it was a given that they were going to do it, and it was something that they were doing anyway. They're just doing more of it now. Yeah. My issue with like what the redistricted battle lines would look like is of course like my fear is California Democrats end up redrawing districts to farm out like 6 new positions, right? 6 new Democrat seats, let's say. Best case scenario. And all of the 6 Democrats that come out of that are like Raytheon liberals and pro-Silicon Valley liberals and pro-Israel liberals. Like if they do that, I am going to lose my mind. And I am afraid that they will do that. So on the one hand, I think it's good that the Democrats are fighting back against the Republicans. But on the other hand, I'm still worried because their moves that they're engaging in is not doing anything to this dynamic that we were covering earlier, which is that the Democratic Party is hemorrhaging voters long before they even go to the polls. Part of the reason why they're hemorrhaging voters is because they're not actively fighting against the Trump administration. Okay? The other, much larger, much more consequential reason as to why they're hemorrhaging voters is because they're not actually standing for anything meaningful. They are not identifiable by tangible policy prescriptions that they have for all of the awful shit that Americans experience on a regular basis. It's crazy. Cheryl Cole. While on my morning walk in the Muller neighborhood, my DPS escort, who was forced upon me to track my every movement, threatened to arrest me. He lost me on the trail, got angry about it, and then made a scene in front of my constituents to the trail. While a little shaken up from the incident, I remain undeterred by this intimidation tactic. Yeah, it's your fault that cops are too fat to keep up. Typical police activity. Typical police activity. I can't keep up with you, and somehow that is your fault, and now I'm going to shoot you or arrest you. Please walk slower. Ay, ay, ay. Incredible. Hasan Reaction is one of the best ones in the React channel.